coming to the event looking to meet people, looking to meet the A&R team, looking to meet the events team. If you've got music, the best way to do it is face to face. Obviously you can send as many tracks off as you want, but it's going to be a lot easier if you know the head of A&R face to face. That's the kind of mentality you need. You've got to be willing to do what the next person won't do.
I'm interviewing you as the head of talent in bookings of Defected, one of the most iconic brands in house music in the world. You know, I want to explore the whole story of how you got up to that point.
Right.
Start from the beginning with me. And I want to hear about kind of early kind of almost sort of childhood memories. Like, when did you first start getting into music? And like, is this something that you sort of experienced at home? Is it something that you went out exploring yourself? When was like music became a part of your life that was important?
It was 100% via parents. My dad was into soul, funk, reggae. So he had his vinyl collection. Right. And then my mum had her vinyl collection, and she was like David Bowie, Sting, people at Queen. So I got quite a diverse array of musical artists at my disposal.
I'm just hearing awesomeness all around.
Oh,
in terms of early musical upbringing. And you know what the funny thing is, Lloyd? It's like I keep hearing this over and over and over again.
It's so important, Ben.
The seed gets planted real early from the parents. You get exposed to like these awesome sounds as a kid. And you know, like it affects your whole life, essentially.
100%. And the thing is, you don't even realise it at the time. It's not like you sit there, listen to music. It can be in the car with your parents. You've just got that music your dad's listening to or your mum's listening to in the background as you're playing on your games or whatever, but it's constantly there. It's part of the soundtrack to your life, you know?
So I want to know a little bit because like, you know, obviously, like you have mixed backgrounds, same as me, right? Yep. We look the same, right? So I'm half Ghanaian, half German. What's your heritage?
So I'm half Nigerian. My dad was born in Nigeria and came across when he was like 17 years old. And my mum is from England. So yeah, mixed.
Well, very, very similar setup. For me, it was the other way around. Dad German, mum from West Africa.
Oh, wow.
But also West African roots. So I imagine your dad brought a lot of that kind of music, that Nigerian heritage, like Fela Kuti and stuff like that.
Fela was in the house. He had so many vinyls of that West African music. Yeah. I couldn't even tell you the names, and it was just on all the time. So I was just constantly, it had that percussion, that African percussion in the house non-stop. It was amazing. At the time, I don't think I fully appreciated it, but looking back now, I was like, there were some vibes in that house, you know?
Yeah, it's planting the seeds, 100%. It's planting the seeds. And like, you know, my dad was really into jazz, you know, and my mum also just, you know, like, you know, into African music, Bob Marley, all of that kind of stuff. Do you know what I mean? And like, I remember just dancing with my dad as a little kid. I was like 3 years old, and my dad was dancing with me on the shoulders, you know, like to like Isaac Hayes and stuff like that.
Isaac.
So,
yeah, the man.
Yeah, so that definitely plants a seed. Okay, now I understand. Like this is a very common thread that I keep hearing again and again to all of us that end up in the music industry. And then tell me about like sort of growing up and then adolescence. Manchester, correct?
Bolton. So Bolton is like 12 miles outside of Manchester.
Right.
To me, Manchester was the big city.
Yes. And how talk to me about like, you know, first sort of contact with nightlife, going out. I guess probably like mid-teens, late teens, right?
So the first thing to know
is... Or you're an early bloomer out when you're like 13 or something.
It wasn't. No. What, with a West African dad? Are you crazy?
Yeah,
no
Nigerian dads.
No way.
You are studying today.
You are studying.
I was studying today.
I was only allowed to the end of my street till I was 15. Never mind. So I'll tell you what, a funny story, like when I got to about 15, 16, they started doing under 16 nights. And I remember asking my dad if I could go with my friends to these under 16 nights. And he's literally like, a nightclub at 16. Are you kidding me? Not a chance. So what I did was, I basically made a body in my bed, with a cabbage as a head. I'm not joking. And then filled it, put a letter in bed saying, Dad, Mum, I've just gone to a night. If you see this, I've been caught, but I've gone to a nightclub. Blah, blah, blah. And I was sneaking out, and I was doing this every Thursday for under 16s for about 2 months.
Did you ever get caught?
My mum found the body one day.
Your mum caught you?
And then I had to beg her not to tell my dad, and she never told my dad, thankfully, because he would have actually murdered me. So yeah, that was my first experience, and then I just absolutely loved it.
Do you remember the music that was being played at those events?
It would have been like R&B. It was mainly R&B.
Right.
Was being played for sure. R&B / a little bit of pop as well.
Yeah.
Those are the
what was the first
songs.
touching points with electronic music? When did that happen?
It's funny you should ask me this, because I found one of my old compilation. My mum used to buy me music for Christmas as well all the time, at compilation albums. Do you remember the Now This Is What We Call Music compilation albums?
Yeah.
When you look at the late 90s, mid 90s, it was all electronic music in the charts. It was like from 93, 94.
Loads.
It was loads. People so unlimited. So
music videos and stuff like that, where like there was this whole genre of charting, actually really good stuff, even
really good stuff. Yeah. Like what's your about to say? Snap, reel to reel. Eric Murillo. That was in the charts. There was a lot of electronic music in the charts that would go in the top 10. So I was exposed to it at a really young age without knowing it was electronic music.
Right.
So yeah, when you go back and you look at all those old tracks, it was all.
I remember that there was a phase where stuff would chart all the time. I mean, Daft Punk had crazy music videos. Like they had like Spike Jonze like do music videos, and obviously MTV was a thing back then, which we don't have anymore. Like seeing music videos on MTV. And like, I remember seeing Daft Punk videos. They had the video with a guy with a dog mask walking around in New York. Remember that? Like, and then they had the one with like, which was all about this Italian grandma cooking pasta sauce for Dad the Cop for Revolution 909. Yep. Crazy music videos.
And the Fat Boy Slim as well. Yeah. Fat Boy Slim was another. His music videos were incredible. So, I mean, back then, obviously, in the music industry, it was completely different. Singles made a lot of money, so they could afford budgets for really high budget videos, which you can't really do anymore. So like in life and in most things advance, but in the music industry, music videos haven't really advanced because there was more budget spent in the 90s and the early 2000s than there is now.
Yeah, it's actually crazy to think that we've almost gone back in terms of how big electronic music used to be. And like obviously we are in a growth industry, and electronic music worldwide is growing, and I think there's a lot more opportunities now for people and for talent making it than there was back then. But having said that, we had these big names in the charts, massively. we had these kind of artists really sort of, like, I mean, Fatboy Slim was like National, Chemical Brothers, same thing, you know what I mean? Like,
people forget how big Eric Murillo was back then. It's like he was, like he was like a celebrity. When Real to Real came out, I want to move it. It was huge. Yeah, it was an anthem, So yeah, in some ways we've gone forward, and in some ways we've gone back,
Yeah, I totally agree, and the industry is constantly shifting, and then like so like we're now in your teens, so like or like let's say like you're in your early like late teens, early 20s, like I remember sort of first meeting you as part of this hosting brand called Dynamite Hosts.
Yes,
right?
Cool. Good memory.
Where
very good memory.
you and Ant Lother and a bunch of other handsome lads were kind of turning, the sort of party or promoting parties upside down, because like you started doing these parties that had like, it was very glamorous. It attracted like a very sexy crowd. It was kind of a little bit risky because people would wear outfits that they would normally.
It was very risky. It was like
people would.
It was like an immersion of like the modeling industry, electronic music, fashion, and just debauchery, which you couldn't really do these days. It was pretty wild. It was pretty full on,
And people traveled for it. I remember my friend James Sherwood, who's one of my best friends, saying to me at the time, "There's this party called Swankies. It's up in Newcastle. We've got to get the train up. to this party, and I'm like,
That's crazy.
what, are you kidding me? We're in London. Like, why do you want to travel up to Newcastle for a party? And he goes, trust me, you want to go there, right? So we got on the train, we went up there, and like we met all you guys, and like, you know, like I got to know all of you guys later on, like and Kit, who was the resident DJ, and many others. But like, yeah, it was really a party concept that became very, very successful, and that started making waves across the UK. So the party started popping up everywhere. You know, it was then in Manchester, and then all of a sudden you guys were in London as well. And like, talk to me about that time a little bit. Like what got you? How did you meet those guys?
I can't remember those times. I'm joking. No, so
what can you piece together?
What can I tell you?
So what can you piece together from the time? You know, a bit
Let me
from
just
here,
go to my
a bit from there.
Rolodex.
Yeah.
Those years were incredible. I mean, I was in Leeds. I was doing my modelling in Leeds, and I just started doing parties as well, setting my own parties up. I used to go out a lot when I was in Leeds.
Right.
So I started doing parties, and then I came across Anth. We started working on jobs together. And then he was just like, listen, we've got this party called Swankies. We've just set it up north. We'd love you kind of to join. And that was my first experience of being part of a huge party. Like the parties I was doing were like 300, 400 people.
Right.
This was 1,000 people, 1,500 people. And everyone was traveling for it from around England. It was crazy.
Yeah.
We had it at a venue called Oracle in Leeds. And we used to get the hotel next to Oracle. I think it was the Jury's Inn. And we'd hire out the whole hotel.
Yeah.
And everyone who was going to the party would stay at that hotel. So
yeah, I remember that very well.
Yeah, that was my first experience really of after parties and the link between a party and going to an after party. I didn't realize it at the time because at that time my focus wasn't so much on the music. I was more about the experience of being at these kind of parties. The music, in terms of DJ and electronic music, actually came a little bit later when I went to Burning Man. But at that time, it was just my first full experience of seeing people fully enjoy themselves. I come from an R&B background mainly, and hip hop clubs, and the vibe was just completely different. In those kind of clubs, it's quite standoffish, not as much dancing. It's all about how kind of like being cool. Those Swankies parties were just raw. Everyone was dancing, everyone's pouring drinks in everyone's throat,
and
everyone's
sexy.
your best friend, and it's sexy,
and sexy, you know what I mean? So, I mean, look, I think it's a very normal trajectory to kind of just be involved on the enjoyment kind of things, because before you become a person behind the scenes. Same trajectory for me, you know, first like being a raver, going to raves, then like eventually like, you know, hey, I want to get involved in promoting, I want to get involved in DJing, and that came much later. But you know, I remember those parties, and there was something special going on there for sure.
Amazing.
You know, it really resonates with me what you said about the hip hop scene, because I'm a hip hop and R&B head, you know.
Same.
And I still am, you know, I still love hip hop, but it was a very different vibe at the parties, and
Very
you know,
different.
a lot of the sort of, I would say, hip hop parties had a lot of sort of male posturing and testosterone involved, right? Where like, I'm with this crew, I'm with that crew, who are these guys, who are that guys, you know what I mean? Territorial almost, where you went to a rave and it was like, hey, I haven't met you before. You sound like, let's have a chat. Like everybody's together, you know. And I think,
it's so like, true, Ben. You can make at these kind of parties, you can make your new best friend there, you know. It's
exactly.
You just click with someone, and you'd spend the night with someone, a guy or a girl, whoever it was. You would spend the time because you like the vibe. I hadn't really been exposed to that before, so this was my first experience. With me before, you go out with your crew. That's it. You don't really speak to everyone else. It's just But this was different, and then that interaction and getting to meet people was a big part of my journey forward, you know.
Yeah, and like I think like it unlocks something in your head where you think like there's a different way. I'm loving this vibe. I'm still loving the music of what I did before, but I'm loving the vibe and the energy that I'm getting from a rave more, you know. And like same for me, like it just became a thing where like I want to be in this scene. Now, Swankies then became like a national sensation, and some big brands in Ibiza started paying attention to what you guys did with the Dynamite hosts, which led to the brand kind of almost being headhunted, scouted. Do you have any like inside stories of how that happened?
So
like,
basically,
how did you guys all end up in Ibiza at one point?
So basically, the Ibiza thing came via Manumission. Manumission at the time, for those who don't know, was one of the biggest parties on the island. It was the the mecca of debauchery for
and known for putting on a spectacle.
A spectacle. The stage shows was incredible. The music was quite diverse. You never quite knew what kind of sound
and
it was.
And you know, it fitted into the risque kind of thing that
Exactly.
you guys were doing, because Mike and Claire, who put on Manumission, were probably the most risque people that you can imagine. I mean, like in the late 90s, early 2000s, people don't know this because they can't imagine this, but there used to be fuck shows at Manumission.
Yeah, 100%.
Mike and Claire would have sex on stage in front of 5,000 people.
No, more,
you think
more.
about,
I think
you
it's
think
more
about
than
that.
5,000.
Yeah, like I mean, it was they were at Privilege at one stage, right? Which is now Universe, you know, which is a vast space, you know, and it was theater. So. I mean, you guys
call it theater.
You guys were kind of sort of scouted, headhunted by Manumission. You're like, hey, we want a bit of your energy.
Sure.
Come over, work with us. Also, Manumission was known for the most debauched and risque after parties known to man. They had the Manumission Hotel where all the artists stayed, where all the performers stayed.
Yeah.
People, like, I hear stories of people who played a gig who then didn't leave for like 3 weeks because they were just staying in the spot. Because tell me about that time and experiencing, like, I think it was at the end of Manumission almost.
Yes, it was the final year. Manumission had moved from Privilege to Amnesia. It was the final year. We got headhunted by those guys. They wanted us involved. Mike and Claire wanted us involved, and obviously Andy was there as well. Andy's now the top guy at Ibiza Rocks and Pikes.
Was your Burning Man experience before or after Ibiza?
I'd never been to Ibiza before this.
Right.
Before this
time.
So
tell me about Ibiza first, because that's I think Ibiza is probably the entry of the rabbit hole, and then Burning Man leads deeper down the rabbit hole. You know. So talk to me about this year, this season.
So I mean, Anthony obviously came over to me, so I got this opportunity to go out to Manumission, do a whole season in Ibiza, working with Mike and Claire, and you're going to be in the stage show each week. There's going to be a lot of sexy people around you. It's going to be well paid. You're going to have as much drinks as you want. And I was like, right, what do I sign? That's me done. What do you sign? But going into that, I had no idea what to expect. I'd never been to Ibiza before. But as soon as I got there, the magic of that island, I just knew straight away that this was going to be a big part of my life, you know?
Right.
The first week, we had a week of rehearsals for the stage show with a very good choreographer. And at that time, also Living TV, which was a TV station back then, they were making a documentary. They asked us to be part of that documentary. So we were filming this documentary alongside Dwayne Lineker, who's obviously went on to set up All Beach and Lineker's and whatnot. So we started filming this documentary as well as doing the show at Manumission, and it just blew my mind. All elements of it. I just couldn't believe the scale of Amnesia. I don't think I'd even been in a party with that kind of sound and that kind of size before. And the people you would meet there, the characters in Ibiza.
The characters at Manumission as well. I mean, like, for people who don't know this, Mike and Claire were collectors and connoisseurs of weirdness.
Oh my God, it was
collectors and connoisseurs of weirdness. So if you're a bit weird, a bit edgy, they'll be like, come to us. Like, come, we like that. Like, come be part of what we do. You know,
some interesting people. I remember driving through Ibiza at one stage. I had Mike next to me doing shots. Claire was in the front, and then we had a back of a pickup truck. We had a mermaid with a tail, which was probably long, dragging along, and she was an opera singer. She was singing opera on the back of the thing, and we were driving. And I was like, how the hell have I ended up here? Like, what's going on? You know, it was a wild time, should we say?
Like, the old Ibiza really hit different. I don't want to be one of those nostalgia guys that goes like, everything used to be better when I was young. You know, like, I don't want to be one of those nostalgia guys. But there was a willingness to take risks and to be like really counterculture that doesn't really exist on the island anymore. Now, obviously, like we still have like amazing nightclubs, amazing productions, better lineups than we've ever had in terms of like the house music artists, you know, more variety of music than we ever had. But there was like a counterculture spirit that was part of the island back then that is kind of got lost a little bit, I feel.
Obviously, yeah. It's changed a lot. What I would say is, I think the people who go to Ibiza now, who are that age I was then, we didn't have a better time than they will still have an amazing time.
Yeah.
It's just us in hindsight looking back, there was a lot more freedom. We were able to stay for a lot longer. The cost of Ibiza now is absolutely wild.
The cost wasn't...
People can't stay there. We would stay there for 2 weeks and we'd go out with 20 euros.
This is such a good point, Lloyd. This is such a good point because... like when I went, like the first time I went to Ibiza I was a student, right? And we were going to the summer, like this was after uni, and we're doing a season. Like we straight up a season. We didn't have a lot of money, right? We just went there and we just figured shit out. We found jobs, we went flyering, you know, we got apartments, you know, like, and that was possible back then. And like, even now you're saying we used to stay 2 weeks, you know, like now, like an Ibiza visit is like a weekend. Like that's the max thing.
On an average income, it would be a weekend. Really, we were able to stay for 2 weeks at a time, 3 weeks even sometimes. And we could go out on 20, 30 euros and have an amazing. That is impossible now. Because we were able to go for so long, we could fully immerse ourselves into that culture. We could try different clubs. We could go to the big club. We could go to the small clubs.
Go to several clubs in a night, you know, exactly. rather than I've sticked all of my money now on one ticket and that's that, basically.
And that is a big part of how it is different now. I mean, people going now, they go out and they're going to go, if you're going for 3 nights, you're going to go to probably the 3 same clubs. Yeah. Because you've not got the option to stay there for longer and try different things and get the whole spectrum of what is Ibiza, you know? So that's a shame, but again, we're lucky that we were able to be a part of that, you know, and it's important that we have these conversations now so people know where it actually came from, you know?
Yeah, and not just where it came from, but maybe even like start pushing back a little bit on this, where we're going like, hey, like this is how we want our culture to be, because, you know, as artists, as people that work in the industry, as people behind the scenes, you know, like the talent bookers and whatnot, we now have the power to kind of shape the industry where we're like, hey, this is what we want it to be like. And I'm starting to see a little bit of that, you know, what Michael Beebe's doing with the no phones policy.
Which is amazing. I really rate that.
Like, I'm starting to see people push back on, like, this is how it is. No, there is a different way, you know, and reclaiming some of those vibes that we had originally had. You then started dabbling into promoting yourself again.
Yeah, so
was Candy Pants? So Candy Pants was your party, right, in Manchester?
So as soon as we finished the first year in Ibiza, I went straight back to Manchester, and me and Anne set up Candy Pants in Manchester, which was a monthly party we did there, and that grew rapidly off the back of Ibiza. It grew really, really quickly. It became a very big party, probably Manchester's biggest party at the time.
Is that when you started DJing as well at this time?
No,
or was
DJing happened a little bit later. So I did Candy Pants for a couple of years, and then the Burning Man thing happened. And that's where
talk to me about Burning Man, because that seems to be a pivotal point in your life. Like, what happened? I mean, you're not the first person to tell me that Burning Man changed their life. I've never been personally, so I don't know.
That was a crazy time.
What happened? What happened?
I'll tell you the full story, basically. I'll try and condense it a little bit. But basically,
don't condense. I want all of it.
I'd basically just finished with a girlfriend. So I thought, right, I'm going to Ibiza. Went to Ibiza, and I stayed at a friend's villa there for maybe like a month or so, and I got quite close to a guy called Max. Max was telling me about Burning Man. This is 2011. Burning Man's this, Burning Man. Back then, there was nothing online really as much about Burning Man, and the videos were so grainy. It wasn't like YouTube now. It was very different. Yeah. You couldn't really make out what it was, and I was just like, I ain't going there. Why would I want to go there? It's just loads of dust. Well, forget it. Anyway, so went through the summer, got to the end of it, and he went, the last thing he said to me before I left to go back to England was, you need to come to Burning Man. Just trust me. So anyway, I left, went back home. Didn't think anything of it. And then a friend of mine, it was Bianca, you remember Bianca Marie, a friend of mine from back in the day.
I remember Bianca very well.
Bianca randomly, out of the blue, and it's not even like I spoke to Bianca a lot, hardly ever. She rang me and went, I'm not going to Burning Man anymore. I need someone to buy my ticket. They can have it at cost price. So I just bought it there and then. So I bought it off her, and then that week I had a friend of mine, Alex Beer's wedding in Ibiza. So I was in Ibiza on the Tuesday to the Wednesday. I had friends at Burning Man. I decided to go and surprise them, not tell them I was coming. I flew from Ibiza on the Wednesday morning, I think it was. Flew to London, from London to San Francisco. Got to San Francisco, and I got stopped at customs because it's around the September 11th time, and it was quite fresh then. I got I got interrogated, missed my flight, ended up having to get another flight on my own then to Reno. Got to Reno, then realised I had no idea how to get to Burning Man. So I decided, I hadn't made a plan. So I decided to get a yellow cab. So I got into a yellow cab at Reno and drove 2.5 hours on the back of a taxi to Burning Man for the first time. Not knowing what to expect, thinking, in my head, I'm like, oh, when I get there, I'll call my friends. I pulled up outside, went through like Greelash, I think it's called, then got to Burning Man. Then I had to walk the rest of the way into Burning Man. And as I got there, everyone's in scarves, everyone's in goggles. There's dust.
You hadn't prepared. You didn't have any dust.
I had no bike. Everyone, you get one bike, but I had no bike. I had a backpack with a couple of things in it.
In a way, sorry to interrupt, because I want you to carry on. This sounds like an absolute adventure, but in a way, this is almost the perfect Burning Man experience, because you then get to experience the gifting, the support, the whole thing where like you're like, help!
Oh my goodness! So I got to the door, and I always remember one of the people on the entrance to it came over to me. She just looked at me, and she went, "Oh, you must be a virgin. I can tell." She went, She went, "Give me a hug." She went, "You're home now." Then the next thing you know, I'm doing.
I love that.
I was doing snow angels in the sand, and as I'm going up and down, I'm like, "What the hell is going on? What is this place?" And then as I walked in, my happiness to be there was met by seeing everyone in masks and scarves. And I looked at my phone, no reception. It was back then. I was like, "How am I going to find my friends?"
Right.
And I got talking to a girl, and I was explaining to her what had happened. And she just said to me, she went, "Come to my camp. You can use that as your base until you find your friends."
I love that.
Yeah, it was amazing. So I went. She took me to her camp. That was it. She went to me. Where are your friends staying? She went. It works on a clock system, like A1, J, whatever it is, J4. I ain't got a clue. I've come to surprise them. She went. I remember her saying, "You're going to struggle to find them. This place is massive." So she took me to the camp, and then she got me some food, give me some water.
Where was she from? Do you remember?
Newcastle.
Oh, she was an English girl.
Yeah, Newcastle.
Right.
She took me to a camp.
Oh, Northerners, mate. They'll take care of you.
She looked after me. Like, she saved my life. so next thing you know, I'm on foot and I'm walking through Burning Man, and I'm seeing it for the first time. Yeah. And I'm just like, what the hell is this place? Like, it was just completely mind-blowing. And I spent the whole night just walking around trying to find my friends.
Right.
It got to about 5 a.m. maybe. I've been walking probably for about 5-6 hours. And I remember some guy came over to me and was like, "Why are you on foot? Why are you walking?" I went, I've not got a bike. I'm trying to find my friends. He went, "I'm leaving today. Take my bike. You got a bike now." And honestly, that moment was like, oh my gosh, like, oh, thank you. And then I started riding on this bike and then at that point,
now you got wheels.
I got wheels. I was like, come on, now I'm in business. But after about half an hour of that, I literally kind of realised that I'm probably not going to find them. And I got really upset, and I was like, felt lonely, and I felt on my own. And I remember one of I think it's like they have like kind of security guard, not security guard, but some kind of security there. And I went over to him and went, "Listen, mate, I've come all the way from England to find my friends. I've no phone reception. I can't find my friends." And I'm thinking he's going to help me. And he just went, "Sounds amazing." He went, and he gave me a hug. He went, "Go and enjoy yourself." I was like, oh God, right. So, and then I got back on my bike, and then probably after about 10 minutes, the sun started to rise.
Yeah.
And then what I experienced on that sunrise was the most beautiful experience of my life. Seeing the player change from dark to this golden, orange and red. It looked like I was on Mars or something. And I was just like, this is incredible. And at that point, I was like, I'm not meant to find my friends. I'm meant to be
you surrendered to the experience.
Yeah, I surrendered. I'm meant to be my friends. They've given me a base, a girl I've met. She's offered me food and stuff. I'm sure I'll meet people. I'm not going to get upset about it. I'm just going to enjoy this and take this experience for what it is. It's only 3 more days left of the festival. I can do this.
Yeah.
And as soon as I let go, I saw the temple in the background. So I looked at this temple, and if you Google 2011 Burning Man Temple, it was just incredible. So I've drove to it on the bike, and then it was the first time I heard no music. It got real quiet there. And I was like, got it. I pulled up and I put my bike down. And I walked into this temple, and I was just met by boom, boom. There was a gong meditation going on, and it was just super quiet. And I remember walking through to where they were doing the meditation, and I looked down, and my friend Gaz McManus was sat there meditating, and I could not believe it. And obviously, they had no idea.
Mate, this is giving me goosebumps.
Mate, it was honestly that moment of looking for them all night and just seeing him there. I went out. I didn't go to him straight away. I went outside the temple, went away. I just went, yeah, I found him. Then went back in. I sat next to Gaz, and then he didn't see me because he had his eyes closed, meditating. And I just tapped him on the shoulder and I just went, yeah, Gaz. To him, and he was like, what? I can't believe it. We left the temple. And then we were just going wild outside. Then my friend Jakes, he came, found us. Antha was there. We all got together. Anyway, they were like, Jamie Jones and Seth Troxler are playing at a place called Nexus Camp this evening. That's where we're going to go. We've got to go there. And at that time, I didn't really even know much about I'd heard Jamie Jones. I knew of him. I'd seen him out and knew of Seth Troxler. I'd heard the names, but I'd never really listened to them in Ibiza. I'd never really spent the time with the music. And they took me to this Nexus Camp. And on the high of what I'd just been through, we all got together and I watched Seth and I watched Jamie play back to back. And I was just completely blown away by what was going on. Everyone was there, was all like in unison. It felt all together. It felt like Seth and Jamie were like conductors of the orchestra, of the whole thing. With the moonlight was coming down. It was in like that giant like dome ball. And I was just like, oh my God, what is this music they're playing? And I just had probably the best night of my life with my friends who I didn't think I was going to get, with 2 amazing DJs. And I just watched them DJ all night and I was just blown away by it. And then I came away from that thinking, I want to get into electronic music and more focus on the actual music side of things.
Well, look, man, this is what you call a formative experience.
Oh, it was incredible.
And I love all of the sort of components of the story, where like you arrive and you need help.
Yeah.
You receive help from multiple people, you get taken care of, because not having experienced Burning Man myself, this is what I keep hearing over and over again, some people can be cynical about it because it costs a lot of money to get there. But once you're there, it's all about like, you give something.
Yeah, of course.
You give something to other people. You bring food, like you don't buy anything. It's like you give stuff. So like you receive help from several people, but then also the temple and you being drawn to the temple and your friend being there.
It's
like
mad. You're thinking about it now. It's crazy.
Yeah, because you're drawn, you subconsciously, your friend and you were drawn to the same experience, to the same landmark, to the same thing, and then the temple becomes the beacon, the lighthouse that brings all of the friends together, and then you go on to have a formative experience, to experience music in a way that you hadn't experienced before.
That single day just completely changed everything. And
it changed the course of your life. Would you say?
Like you wouldn't believe. I would not be here for that if it wasn't for that single day. There, just in terms of the electronic music and really listening to it. I'd enjoyed it before, but I couldn't really tell you much about it. But that was really listening to it and listening to how they
got it. It's a difference between hearing and getting it.
It sounds cliche, but it was at that exact moment, that I got it, which is crazy because it's come full circle now.
Yeah.
Because that moment shaped me, and then this year I've managed to book Seth to play for us in Defected in Croatia. So it's kind of come a little bit full circle.
Yeah. I love that.
I walked away from that thinking, I need to look into this, and I came back from Burning Man, and the first thing I did was go and buy a cheap pair of decks. A really cheap pair of decks, and then I put it.
You're now on a mission to learn how this shit works, basically.
I stayed up when I got back, pulling all-nighters, downloading electronic music, just listening to different artists, this, and it was at a time when it was like 2011. It was Hot Natured, it was Wolf and Lamb. You know what I mean? It was just the Soul Clap Boys were massive there. Yeah. No Regular Play, Nicholas Jar. It was all these different artists up and coming, and I was just like, I was immersed into it, you know. And I remember I put my decks onto a picture on Facebook saying, "No, all the gear, no idea." And then a promoter messaged me saying, "Oh, I see you DJ now. Do you want to come and DJ for us?" I couldn't mix, and I was like, "I'm really busy at the moment. My schedule's full." I went, "Give me 4 months and I'll fit you in." And then I knew I had about 4 months, so I got a gig. I got a gig before I'd even learned to DJ.
Well, I tell you what, it's good that you didn't say yes, because the same thing happened. The same thing happened to me. I think about a week after I bought my decks, somebody was like, I think I spanned some tunes as a house party, and somebody was there like, "I got a club, why don't you come and DJ?" And I was like, "All right," and I had no idea what I was doing. Like the transitions were terrible, right? Literally, just crossfading real quick because I couldn't really beat match, And afterwards, the guy came up to me and said, like, "That was awesome," and I was like, "Really?"
Well, take it. Hey, you got to fake it till you make it, man. You got to fake it till you make it.
Well, I same as you. After that, I was just like, I'm practicing every day because I never want to feel that feeling of being exposed and not knowing what I'm doing again. So I'm gonna study my craft now, and then obviously became a competent DJ after that. Okay, amazing stuff. Really, the story is giving me goosebumps because it's a really a formative experience where you feel like I've had these experiences myself where something goes like, holy shit, this is something that I need to explore. This is something that I want to put a lot of time and energy and effort into, and I would know that I want this to be a part of my life, and it does change your life.
Massively.
Now, I remember those times as well because all of a sudden I started seeing you pop up as a DJ here and there and there and there, and you started playing quite a lot, in the UK. Talk to me a little bit about that time, and then how you started honing your craft, and then how sort of wearing all of those many different hats that you sort of worn in the industry until that point, where you were first you're a model, a performer, a promoter, a raver, then a DJ now at this stage, how you started accumulating the experience that started bringing you closer to where you are now. How were the DJ years, and how did they shape you?
Those were amazing as well. I mean, I was very lucky that from my modelling days, I used to model with Nick Yates. Nick Yates is obviously one of the bookers of Paradise. Chief, absolute legend. Yates. So I'd known Nick for years. Nick was actually involved in Swankies with us in Ibiza. He helped us with that as well. So
for those that don't know Nick Yates, just for the audience,
everyone knows Nick Yates.
Of course, everybody knows, but there'll be some young dude watching who doesn't. Nick Yates is an instrumental person in Ibiza.
Massive.
Jamie Jones's partner for a long time, instrumental in putting Paradise together, and also running his own brand.
Zoo Project. He was doing
Zoo Project before that. Zoo Project before that.
Nick is a key figure in Ibiza history, 100%. The amount of work that boy has done over the years is.
I remember having a conversation with Nick Yates. I think it was after BPM Festival Costa Rica, and we were sat in at the official after party in the villa, and we were chatting, and I was talking to him how he got started with it all, and he was like, Ben, he goes the one thing that I was always good at was shifting tickets, right? And I knew how to shift tickets, and all of these brands and all these promoters, like from Zoo Project to like James Jones Paradise, everybody just went to Nick because he organized the ground game in Ibiza, right? And the ground game is so important for any brand, is to having the workers, to having the cool kids, basically, the ones that know like house music, the ones that other ravers trust, telling you need to go here, you need to check this one out, right? You plan to go to it, no, don't go there tonight, you got to come to us. Do you know what I mean? So organizing that ground game, I think, was Nick's sort of proper sort of first, many skills after that, but that was the first skill that you honed. Tell me a little bit about the time.
So Nick was doing parties at Swankies in Manchester.
Right.
Obviously he'd seen then I was DJing a little bit, and he was like, you can play some warm-up sets if you want. So that got me into that world a little bit. I mean, when I say play warm-up sets, I remember I said, how much do I get paid, Nick? He said, right, there's 10 tickets, you sell them tickets, there's your pay. So I was like, well, you said you sell tickets.
He knows how to shift the tickets. He knows how to do it.
That's what you do. Yeah. So I remember I was like, I played on a Solomon show and Richie Ahmed, and that's when I started Darius Sarosian. Yeah. All those kind of people on that coming through Swankies, I kind of like started to meet those kind of guys then. And then kind of grow a bit of a network through the DJs and start to meet people that way. And then I would just go out to a lot of these other parties, and getting time to spend time with the DJs, getting to know them a little bit better than just, hi, how you doing? Was quite important in terms of networking and getting to meet really good people and really creative, amazing DJs.
Which is such an important thing because, correct me if I'm wrong, but I always say that 90% of this whole music business is relationships,
100%.
Would you say that this time was kind of instrumental in form, like sort of preparing you for the role that you have now as like head of talent and booking at Defected, where like you're building those relationships?
This role now is heavily reliant on that. Like there's a lot of bookings that I will go through now that it's my personal relationship with that DJ. It's like a lot of the agents don't like me because sometimes I'll just message a DJ. Can you play a show for us? And it's like, yeah, of course I'll do it. Then we'll tell the agent later, and the agent will call me up like, Lloyd, you can't be just speaking to the agent, the DJ's direct like that. You've got to come through me. You know what I mean? So,
but he's my mate.
He's my mate. What are we to do? Like, not tell him. What are we to do? So having those relationships is key to this job 100%. It's been a massive, massive help, and it makes things a lot easier. Even if you're with this job, you get fed a lot of falsities, should we say. Being able to speak to an artist straight away and find out what the situation is, it saves a lot of time and it helps a lot.
Yeah. That's like, I guess it gives you like a different perspective, and having a direct line to the talent is, I think, very, very important. And obviously, like, like as artists, as I speak to myself, we don't want to undermine our agents, right?
Yeah, 100%.
And sometimes, but also I nurture relationships with all of the people that do the bookings for the brands, and also the people, promoters that head brands themselves.
Sure.
Because sometimes like your agent is not just representing you, they're representing many people. And even still to this day, I feel that like the artist still has to nurture relationships, and then go like sometimes, and then feed your agent's ideas, and goes like, hey, do you remember XYZ? Like, played for him 3 years ago. We still mates. Like, let's find out what he's doing. And then they're like, oh yeah, you're right. You know what I mean? And
but like, it's a team. It's a team, and an agent and an artist, it's actually a team. The agent can't do everything, and the artist can't be expected to do everything. The agent's got to do their part, and then the artist has to do the same, and it's coming together, It's like, if you as an artist have got this network of people and promoters, the agent will expect you to be able to tap into that. And likewise, so
100%.
It's very much
so it's a team effort, exactly. And and also it's good for both parties, because end of the day, when you have a direct line to a promoter as an artist or a booker, like somebody that heads up a brand like yourself, and you can make some stuff happening through that, and the agent gets the booking fee. It's great for everybody. Do you know what I mean?
Wins.
So everybody wins,
sure.
So let's get into the Defected role properly. So how long have you been at Defected in your current role now?
In my current role, my role has ever been evolving since I was
evolving. Okay, so take me from the beginning then. Yeah. So take me from the beginning.
Defected happened just off the back of COVID, I started working in London for E1 nightclub. They had a venue called Orange Yard. So I started doing the bookings there, helping them with the bookings there, as well as DJing some of the parties for them and just being a general face for that venue. I'd done that for a little while and then started working with George Pritchard, who was director of events at Defected then. We started working on a few extra side projects, and then he just basically said, if a role comes with Defected, I'd love to get you involved. Your work ethic is what I'm looking for. And he got me in through the front door, really. And I remember the first day walking in, not having an absolute clue what I was doing, Ben. I didn't have a clue, mate. And I walked in, and then I'm sat there, chatting to Simon Dunmore.
Right.
And I was so nervous. And he was just talking to me about his music and going through some art and stuff. I was so nervous that it's probably one of the most nervous I've ever been, because I felt the weight of what Defected was, you know. And for me, someone who just loved house music, it was like I knew it was a big job. And I remember sitting down at my desk first time, and they said to me that at that time, Defected owned a brand called Sondela, which was actually Simon's son Louis' brand, and it was
Louis Afro House brand.
Yeah, Afro House brand. And they said, well, we're working. We want to do events with Sondela. We want you to kind of work on that. So I was tasked with working on that, and I was doing 1 day a week. And my mentality was, I didn't really know what I was doing. I just thought, who can I call? I've got on my phone, it's got a lot of numbers. I'm like, who can I call who can help me with this? And I remember I called my friend who worked for the Five Group in Dubai, my friend Martin, and I said, listen, Martin, I've just joined Defected. I'm looking for somewhere we can do these parties for Sondela. And he was like, yeah, why not? He goes,
let's give it a go.
He goes, if we do this, if we do it well, is there a chance we can look at Defected later down the line? I was like, yeah, of course we can. And he gave us a monthly residency for Sondela. So that was like day one on the job. He was like,
wow.
And I knew the money that made the company covered what I was getting paid for whatever month. So I knew that then I'd done my job already, kind of thing. So now the stress of the job had gone immediately by that one little deal. Yeah. And to be honest, from that moment, I didn't look back. I just kind of kept building and building.
And I guess they kept trusting you with more and more responsibility in the aftermath.
It took time, Ben, because as well as doing this, I book for, I do a lot of bookings for some of the members clubs in London. So I book like Black Coffee, Annabelle's, Paul's. I've just done another recently. I do big shows on that kind of circuit. So I had that experience already to do big bookings, but I knew I had to earn my stripes.
Right.
I could have come in and be like, do these big bookings. I should be doing this. And I didn't. I just took my time and I just built slowly. I started with Sondela, and then after Sondela, I was trusted to book for D for Dance, which was a more commercial label we have here. We did that at O Beach. So I learned how to book a whole season by doing that. And then the following year after that, I helped with the Glitterbox Ibiza bookings and the Defected Ibiza bookings. I supported on that. And then the following year, I was booking it solo and then kind of worked my way up to the head of bookings. I really had to take a small process. And I remember in my first year, a lot of the events meetings, I wasn't even in the events meetings. I would sit outside and the team would kind of have their meetings. And I was just a 1 day a week consultant, and I would sit outside. And I felt a little bit like I need to work harder to get myself into those conversations.
Into this, yeah.
And that's what I did. And it was about being patient, Ben. It's like there was no rush. I knew I had the experience. I had the talent to do it, but I didn't have the experience of working at Defected. And I'm so glad it took that slower process, because I learned the events business here from top to bottom.
I mean, I think you've learned at probably one of the best places, in the world to learn this business, because, I've interviewed both Simon Dunmore and, Wes, the current CEO and owner, both on this podcast. And, I just know that the depth of knowledge, the professionalism, the love for music that the guys have, what they've given up to keep doing this and do this successfully for decades,
100%.
and it's a great environment. Like every time I come to Defected, it's like I just love visiting the offices.
It's a great place to work, man.
Yeah.
It's an institution, you know, and sometimes that can weigh a bit heavy because it's got a big history and there's a lot of responsibility on it. You know, it's not just a case of we can just put any DJ on any party. You've kind of really got to give a lot of thought, and you've got a kind of like a history to preserve. You know, here make sure the fundamentals of good house music are being
Talk to me a little bit about Lloyd. Talk to me a little bit about what it takes to like book for like iconic events like Defected Croatia. What it takes for like putting like a season together. Like, are you involved in like, are you putting seasons together for Ibiza? How does it like what goes into the whole thought process?
The whole process. So I mean, for me, I like to speak to other people in the office. I like to speak to people who've been there, done that. I like to speak to some of the younger staff to ask them who's up and coming and
who's got the ear on the ground.
Because listen, at the end of the day, it's like those younger people are out all the time. I'm not out all the time. These people are there. You've got to listen to other people in your company. I'm blessed that there's so many people within this company.
Can I throw in a little anecdote? Just that supports what you're just saying. I played a Defected event in Cardiff, and you know, you had some of your younger staff were there, and they were on stage, and I played like a really underground act at the time called The Trip. Right, so I played a record by The Trip, and they were just starting to bubble up, but it was very, you know, very fresh, very underground, self-released music on their own label. And one of the Defected girls came up to me, goes like, "That's The Trip." And I was like, well done. Like you recognize that. And now I see them full circle. They're on the label. They're on Defected, you know. And this goes to show like how like the house heads that work at Defected shape, you know, even the stuff that gets signed onto the label. You know, like
it's really important. I mean, for instance, Wes recently this week just asked me to compile a talent pool for potential show later in the year. I will ask people within the company, like, who do you think? And then I'll tell that to Wes, because you've got to have that kind of like ear, people who've got that ear to the ground, you know. You can't just rely on my knowledge.
Of course.
It doesn't make any sense. But not everyone's like that. But I think that's the best way to go around things, you know.
I absolutely love that approach, because it I feel like in like, you know, like your 20s, you are like the most clued up person ever
for sure.
when it comes to like going out, you know, and knowing what artists are hot and not, because that's your whole life, you know what I mean? And like, you get a little bit older, it doesn't mean you're not clued up anymore. Obviously, you have experience and there are different things about the industry that the younger ones don't know. But like, just drawing from a pool of knowledge that like is that wide and, you know, that passionate as well, I think makes perfect sense to me. I love that approach.
Being able to draw on it better, but also then filter out, because you've still got to stick to the fundamentals of what is right for Defected Records. You still got to know that this business is built on the music first, on good music first. You know, it's like with the way the music industry is now, it's not so much just about the music anymore. It's about how someone looks, how they package themselves, how good they do socials. But for me, I'm always trying to look at the music first, and all the on top of that is the extra, you know.
Yeah. Okay. So I mean, like, I feel that Defected has always been a brand that put the music first, and it's noticeable. Like, you know, on in events like Croatia, so you know, let's say you've put the feelers out, you kind of have an idea of you know who's on your radar right now. Then what's the next step?
So the next step is speak with Wes, show him an idea of how I think it's kind of looking. Wes will then put his input. There'll be people we have releases coming with who need to be on certain shows to tie in with the release, maybe. So, and then I'll speak to Andy Daniel, who's president of Defected now. He's on the label side of things. I'll get Andy's input, which is vital because Andy's been part of the Defected DNA for so long. So he'll tell me basically what the plan is for the next 12 months, who's releasing, what we're releasing, what remixes have we got coming. And then I'll tie all this knowledge in and I'll put it put it all together. Then I'll make a plan. And then Wes will then put a final sign off on it.
Right.
Once I've got it planned out, I then go out to artists. I check everyone's availability, see who's available with the agents, and then knock off the ones who are not into doing it, look to fill them out, and then go out with the offers.
How early do you have to be in that process to make sure that you get everybody you want?
I mean, Croatia's done probably 10 months before.
Wow. Yeah.
10 months before. The beauty of Croatia is it's over 4 days as well, so there's a good chance you'll be able to land the artist you want.
Right.
Not always get the artist you want, but with that one, it's a little bit easier with Defected Croatia. Ibiza is a completely different story. Ibiza is politics.
Politics. Oh my God. I mean, this is a good.
Honestly,
like,
Ben, if we start talking about Ibiza politics, I might have to leave this podcast.
Okay, like I know there's certain things that can be talked about, and there's literally some things that can't be talked about. Yeah. That's how mad it is, right? But like, let's talk a little bit about sort of booking restrictions that you have in Ibiza, because there's certain brands. We're not going to name any names.
Yeah, don't name any brands, but yeah,
we're not gonna put ourselves on hot water. But what we'll do is that, like, what we can reveal is that when you are associated with a certain brand, that brand can sometimes become protective about you as an artist and put restrictions on you, who you can work with and who you can't. How difficult is it to navigate that landscape?
In the past,
do you frequently bump against those restrictions and go like, shit, I've got to fucking, draw this thing up again because I can't go the way I want to go?
Ben, this year was the hardest I have ever witnessed in my life. It was so difficult. It was so stressful. I was losing sleep over it. It got that bad. It was really, really difficult. It was myself and my assistant Millie were working on it, and it was Millie's first year of doing a Ibiza booking, so Millie didn't really know any difference, which was amazing because it was all put. But inside, this is really, really difficult because usually, historically in Ibiza, exclusivity lasts for 7 days. So if an artist pays, let's say, Pasha on a Wednesday, they then can't play another venue for another 7 days.
Yeah,
which it's understandable. You want to try and get your ticket value out of that artist. But things have got so competitive in Ibiza now. It's getting to the point where if you play for one party, you're not on a certain day. You're not allowed to play for any other party on that same day.
Yeah,
so
which is mad.
So it became very, very difficult, and because of that, a lot of the agents didn't want to commit early to bookings because it then rules them out of other bookings. So the agents are all delaying getting back to you, and it's all slow. And a process which usually takes me 3 weeks to do, it's 2 months, 2.5 months. People not getting back to you, and if I had hair, I'd pull it out. You know what I mean? So it was really difficult. However, so what I did at one point through the season, he was like, I've kind of got to start again here because what I've mapped out it's just not working. A lot of the artists aren't available. So that taught me a lot is in terms of, okay, what can I do here to stay true to what I want to do as a booker and booking this lineup, but also pivot slightly. And that's what I had to do. Halfway into it, I had to complete that week, that's gone. Let's redo things. Let's open things up. Let's have some conversations with managers and agents. Yeah, with people who want.
I mean, like, you know what? It's the whole process, sort of waiting of what you're going to get that season in Ibiza is stressful for artists, but it's great to hear that it's also stressful on the other side for the agents. You know,
because it's stressful for everyone. Yeah, for everyone. The agents are stressed because they're it's like, well, where's these bookings, and they're like trying to wait. The promoters who are doing the exclusive, we're all stressed because we don't know what artists are going to commit to our brand and what artists
Yeah.
are going to go. So it's a massive stress across the board, and it just becomes.
And let me rephrase that. By the way, it's not great to hear that. It's very revealing to hear that, because like sometimes when you're only in your perspective as the artist, you know, you think like the people who are putting the parties together have the power, you know, and you kind of just sat there waiting. Because if one of the things I think like one of the most stressful experiences for the artist is waiting to get picked.
Yeah.
You know, like do you remember when you're like in school and they're picking the you know the football teams
team.
and and if you're not the kid that's amazing at football, I'm sure you weren't one of them. I was one of them. Like, you know, and you get picked like, and that feeling waiting to get like, are they going to pick me? Are they going to pick me?
That's some serious trauma that I can feel it.
I'm telling you, and as a DJ, sometimes that felt very much the same, like waiting to get picked, you know? And like a lot of what I've done in my career is trying to mitigate against always have where other people always have the power to pick you. You know, this is why I started my own label, because like I was like, I don't need to get signed. I can release myself, you know. Stuff, and then also like, you know, like I've seen people who've like build huge brands of picking themselves essentially, you know, people that end up in residencies in Ibiza then, you know, and you know, all power to them, because it's a hard path.
Building your own brand has never had more power in the music industry, because it allows you a lot. I think it helps with a longer career. If you've got your own brand in Ibiza now, as your career goes on, you're able to curate your lineup and put yourself back to back with some of these emerging talents. Yeah. So you'll probably notice that happening.
And you know, if we look at DJs with multi-decade careers, there's almost always people that have built their brand at some point, you know. And then there's a few exceptions that have like icon status, you know, where like they'll just always going to get booked, but stuff like that. But the music industry in its turnover of how they chew through artists and you know, new people feels even more relentless now than it used to be, and it's even harder to build a legacy that lasts longer than just a couple of years. So how do you get the mix right at Defected with booking people that are part of like have been part of house music culture maybe for a much longer time, and then mixing that up for new talent? Like, how do you look at that sort of tension?
So I kind of try and look at everything at Defected with a wide lens. So I will look across the year. So for instance, New Year's Eve just gone, we did a show at Brixton Academy. New Year's has changed a lot. The people coming out are slightly younger now. People who are a little bit older aren't going out on New Year's Eve.
Right.
It's more, so I purposely curated that lineup to lean into a younger audience. So it had your Coulters and your Sidney Charleses on there. Luke Van Dyke was on there, mixed with Shermanology, who had a lot of releases, and Rio Tashan and Ella Knight, who's emerging. So that was you focus. But then we had Fabric a few months later. For Fabric, because Fabric's iconic to me, I wanted a bit more of the legends in there. So we had DJ Gregory in there, we had D-Tron in there, Danny Tenaglia. But that's because I'm looking at it with a wide lens, you know.
I love that.
Yeah, for Drum Sheds, I'm probably going to later this year. I'm probably going to go down a route where it's a little bit more of the legends are Defected, and then at the end of the year, we do a show. It'll probably go back to a bit more of a youth focus. The thing is with Defected, I'm not pigeonholed into a certain type. I'm able to have a vast array of artists, which I can mix and match and try different things. And
that's one thing that I really love.
It's beautiful about Defected. We're not pigeonholed. All we want is good DJs.
And that's something that I've really loved. I've always loved that about Defected, is that you put on like people who were like major contributors to the culture for like many decades, and you put them alongside the new and up and coming talent, and they, you know, you can be on a lineup with Carl Craig, you know what I mean? Or like, you know, you can, you know, like Darius and Carl Craig, whatever, you know. You know, you could be playing on a lineup with Honey, you know, who's been around like, you know, for a long time.
And I don't think people, I honestly don't think a lot of people, even though people know how big Defected, it gives it the credit it deserves for some of the talent that's come through Defected. Like if you look at this landscape now, one of the first releases was on Defected, another played Defected Croatia.
Yeah.
Frankie Rizzardo was pretty
Yeah.
much a resident for Defected
Yes,
back in the day.
I know he was. Yeah.
A lot
Just
of these
did Coachella.
artists, of course, a lot of these artists come through Defected at some point. So it always helps bringing new talent and giving opportunities, and it's for that, Defected is one of the best for sure.
I think like what I like about Defected is that it's a big church, right? And like, you know, like Simon and now, you know, like for a couple of years now, Wes have really kind of kept the ethos of like love for the culture. You know, really like also like, you know, signing new talent, but also like going back to the legends and keeping what they're doing alive, you know, commissioning remixes from tracks from the legends where like, you know, new talent is remixing some of the legendary tracks of the old days, just keeping the culture connected.
It's really important. I mean, recently, we just released D-Tron, Seth Troxer just did a great release. You check that out. Josh Baker really remixed one of the Martinez brothers, H to the Izzo, which you can remember back in the day was an iconic track. So Andy Daniel's doing an amazing job at doing that and mixing the old and the new. It's like, that's what you've got to do. You've got to kind of like let people know where we've come from and those amazing, talented, amazing DJs, but also be open to new talent coming through and putting it all together. And that's what we do. I mean, one of the things about Ibiza at the moment, Ben, is a lot of the brands, they've got a focal point DJ. So that's why you get a lot of the lineups are the same, because the DJs, the brands will all swap. For instance, if you're, how shall I say this? If you're playing one party, the headliner for that party will agree to play for another party as long as they swap. Do you know what I mean? That's why you see a lot of the lineups being quite similar. Whereas we don't have that specific one person who's the head of like who is the front of Defected, and because of that, it works against us because it's harder to get some of the talent, but also it's a benefit because I can just kind of like put different artists as a headliner for my show, you know?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. So now I kind of really want to get into like some of the questions that are basically very interesting to our audience, who all are like, not all, but you know, like a lot of people that watch this podcast are people that want to break into the industry, right? People that want to build careers in house music, people that want to make music their life. I want to ask this as a two sort of tiered question. The first thing is like, how would you advise somebody that want to work behind the scenes like you are, right? How would you advise them how they get into the industry, right? And then how the second part of the question would be, how does a producer that's currently, you know, thinking I'm making shit hot music, how do I get on Lloyd's radar? How do I play for Defected, and how do I play for this brand? So maybe we can start with the behind the industry sort of type of career first.
Behind the industry, the best advice I would give anyone is internships. Be willing to work for free. Be it whatever it is, whether it's doing media, whether it's offering to come in and just help out somewhere. Right off to as many different people in the music industry as possible, offer your services for free. Usually you'll find that if you could offer your services for free for the time being, and then you can get in the door, if you work your ass off and you're the first person in that office, if you're the first person in that office and you're the last person to leave that office, and you just keep working and working and working, you'll get noticed. And even if that person doesn't take you on, you'll make an imprint on that on them, and you've got a good chance of getting noticed.
One thing can lead to another.
I think especially if you're young, doing internships is a big way forward. And also, if you're willing to work for a brand, go to the events. Right. Go to the events is key, which is the same for the producer, really, which is the second part of the question. If you're a producer, we get sent emails all the time. Actually coming to the events and looking to meet people, looking to meet the A&R team, looking to meet the events team.
Because they're going to be at the events. I know that from Defected.
We're there. We're approachable. Like if you've got music, the best way to do it is face to face. And you come to an event and be willing to come back, because you meet so many people at the event. It's only when you see people over and over again you start to get facial and name recognition. And that's the best way.
Which brings me back full circle to what I said earlier, that I really believe that this business is just built on relationships.
It's all relationships. It's just getting through the front door, you know. And once you're in, then it becomes a lot easier. But yeah, if you're willing to release on a label, go to that label's events. Like, obviously you can send as many tracks off as you want, but it's going to be a lot easier if you know the head of A&R face to face.
Even just like, you know, when you're sending the email the next day and they're like, I remember that guy, I was chatting to him yesterday. I saw it. You know what I mean?
It's so much better to start an email with
like, hey, met you last night at, basically, you know.
Last night was amazing. Here's my track. You said you listen.
Yeah.
That's better than saying, hi, hope you are well. It's just a cold way.
You're so right.
Just invest in it. If you want to release on No Art, go to a No Art party. If you want to release on Defected, come to the Defected party. Find out who signs the music. I'll tell you now, it's Andy Daniel. But go pest Andy Daniel face to face. And that's the best way to do it. You hate me saying that, by the way.
No, it's the best. No, it's the best advice. It really is the best advice. You know, I've got a guy who's a student, you know, with us at Dojo, and he lives in, you know, California, and you know, like we did a small gathering for my music school for Dojo at ADE, but he flew all the way over from LA to be at ADE. And then he went, you know, to like the No Art event because like, you know, No Art is his favorite label. He wants to be on the label, you know.
That's the commitment you need, Ben, because there's so much competition in this industry. You've got to be willing to go that extra mile. You have to be willing to go that extra mile, and that will set you in good stead. If you've got that kind of mentality, you'll do well in this industry because everyone
100%. And like, you know, like I was trying everything on my end to help him. His music was fire. And I thought, hey, this is something that Anota would like or play. So I then sent them the music, right? They got back to me saying like, this is fire. Like, and then he literally messaged me. He's like, holy shit. He goes like, I got a download from Anota, right? And then the next thing I'm hearing is like, he's at the No Art event at ADE with 10,000 people and they're dropping his track. Do you know what I mean?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
And then they start following. Yeah.
If he's willing to fly, just to come to that, he is doing something that the other 99% of people
99.9% wouldn't do.
And that's what you've got. That's the kind of mentality you need. You've got to be willing to do what the next person won't do. And that's the best, most solid advice I can give anyone in this industry.
You know what? They follow him now on Instagram. They support him regularly with the music. They're playing his tracks. And I think like it's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time to land on the label. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so like, and it's literally, as you said, that first foot in the door where like, hey, this person is now aware of me. This person now knows who I am. They're now downloading my tracks on the regular, you know? And once you got that bit of attention, all you got to do is keep grafting. And then, you know, eventually things will pan out. I love that.
And once you got that awareness, and once they see his name, when he does send a track, you've developed that trust. They know that person is probably going to send a pretty decent track. So they're going to give it a listen.
They're going to check it out.
And they're going to listen with different ears than they would someone they don't really know or they've not seen the name before. So that he deserves success because obviously he's willing to put in the graft.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah.
Send me his music, Ben. Send me his music, mate. Don't be gatekeeping.
I will. We've now talked for 1.5 hours. I absolutely love the insights that you give me.
It's amazing talking to you, mate.
And I think it's really important for artists to kind of, you know, get the inside view of the industry. It's great to hear from other artists, but the people that, you know, put it all together, people like yourself, are very valuable. And I think it's super important for artists to see that people like yourself are approachable, that you're always looking for new talent, and that
always,
it goes both ways.
Always looking for new talent. If any artists out there have got aspirations to work at Defected, we're approachable. Come to the events, come say hello. I'm always open to meet new people, you know.
So tell me, finally, as the last question, what's up this year for you? What are the sort of big projects that are on your plate right now? What are you looking forward to?
So we start our residency at Chinua in 2 weeks. So I'll be in Ibiza for 2 weeks. We have our first year at Amnesia, which we've left doing Sundays at High. We're doing Fridays at Amnesia now. So that's a big change for the business. It's going to be completely different. We're excited by it. So that's going to be a big project for the rest of summer. Then we've got a festival, Nameless Festival in Lake Como. So I'm out for that. And then we've got Electronic Picnic in Toronto, which is going to be a big show. And then we're not announced it yet, but we're doing Drum Sheds in London as our big Q4 kind of play, which is going to be incredible. And then, probably a show at the end of the year, maybe a show in Manchester as well.
A lot of stuff happening.
A lot of traveling.
As there always is with Defected.
Yeah, there always is,
Lloyd, it's been an absolute pleasure to talk. A full circle moment for me as well. We've known each other for such a long time. And it's great to see you. It's great to see you thrive in the industry. I love the integrity that you bring to the job. I love the ethos that you bring to the job, and which kind of just is the whole experience that I've had with Defected, because I've released on DFTD, I've played many shows for Defected, and it's I've always had the same feeling that you guys genuinely care about the culture and about the music. So thank you very much for talking to us.
Thank you, brother. And same goes to you with Dojo. What you're doing is incredible for the industry, and it's really important that you're letting people know and speaking to the right artists and getting that message out there to people. So
that means a lot,
well, brother.
I always forget this, but I'm not going to forget it this time. If you found this conversation valuable, like, subscribe, comment, let us know what you think. And if you want to learn how to produce house music properly, learn all aspects of the industry, check us out at www.dojomusic.net. And that is it for today. Thank you very much and goodbye.
People come together.